comes a moment in every soul's journey when everything begins to fall apart. The plans you made, the dreams you built, the things you thought were certain. You wake up one day and realize that life doesn't look anything like what you imagined. The job you prayed for slipped away, the relationship you thought would last ended, and the future you were chasing suddenly vanished. You stand there, surrounded by the ruins of your own expectations, and whisper, "Why, God? Why did this happen?" But what if this breaking is not your ending, but your becoming? What if failure is not destruction, but divine redirection? Sometimes God allows the walls to collapse because He knows you've been building on weaker foundations. He lets your plans fall apart, not to harm you, but to remind you you were never in control. Failure is not the punishment of the soul, it's its purification. It tears away everything false, everything shallow until only truth remains. It humbles you, empties you, and makes space for what was always meant to be. The world may call it losing, but heaven calls it preparation. Because when you've been broken enough, you finally stop chasing perfection and start seeking purpose. When you lose what you thought you needed, you find what truly matters: peace, humility, and a deeper connection with God. So don't curse the failure, sit with it, learn from it. Because sometimes the fall is the only way for the soul to rise. Failure feels cruel when you're inside it. It burns, it humiliates, and it makes you question every choice you've made. You see others winning while you're still crawling through the dust, wondering why God let you fall. But hidden beneath that loss is a kind of mercy that only hindsight can reveal. You see, God's mercy doesn't always come dressed as a miracle. Sometimes it comes disguised as a collapse. When you lose something or someone, it's easy to assume God took it away to punish you. But in truth, He's protecting you from what could have destroyed your soul. The thing you thought was your blessing might have been your distraction. The door that slammed shut may have been leading you toward pain you weren't meant to endure. Every loss is a redirection, a divine way of saying, "Not this. I have something better." But in the middle of the storm, you don't see the wisdom, you only feel the ache. That's the test. Will you trust God when you can't trace Him? Will you believe there's purpose in the pain? The mercy of losing is that it teaches you to detach from the temporary and lean on the eternal. It strips away pride, arrogance, and dependence on the world. And when the dust settles, you realize that what you lost didn't break you, it built you. The greatest gift of losing is that it forces you to find God in the ruins, and once you find Him there, you realize you never really lost at all. Pain is not punishment, it's preparation. When life breaks you, it's not because God has forgotten you, but because He's shaping you for something you can't yet see. We often ask, "Why me?" But the truth is, pain has a purpose that comfort never could fulfill. Think of how gold is purified. It's placed in fire, melted, reshaped, and refined until it shines. The same happens to your soul. Every heartbreak, every rejection, every closed door is God's way of removing what doesn't belong in your next chapter. You can't pray for growth and expect comfort to stay. The two cannot coexist. Growth demands breaking. It demands surrender. When everything hurts, it's often because your old self is dying, the version of you that couldn't handle what God is preparing you for. The pain you feel today is not meant to destroy you, but to strengthen your spiritual muscles. It's teaching you endurance, empathy, and faith. lessons you could never learn through ease. Pain humbles the heart and purifies the intentions. It strips away illusions and teaches you what truly matters. And when you look back after the storm, you'll see that every tear had a reason, every delay had a lesson, and every no from God was really a hidden not yet. What you thought was breaking you was actually building the version of you who can carry your destiny. Because the truth is, God never wastes pain. He repurposes it into power. And the moment you stop running from it, you start rising because of it. After the storm of failure passes, there comes a strange silence, a space where everything feels uncertain, yet full of possibility. This is the sacred ground where rebuilding begins. When God strips something from your life, He isn't abandoning you. He's clearing the ruins so that something stronger, purer, and divinely aligned can rise. But rebuilding after failure isn't about rushing forward. It's about learning to walk again, slowly, with faith instead of fear. Because failure humbles you in a way success never could. It forces you to face your truth, to rebuild not on pride or ambition, but on surrender and purpose. This time, you build differently. You no longer chase validation. You stop proving yourself to people who never saw your worth. Instead, you start creating from the quiet, from gratitude, from stillness, from the awareness that everything you have is borrowed grace. You learn to measure success not by applause, but by alignment. And that's when miracles begin to unfold. Because God doesn't restore things to how they were. He makes them better than before. He replaces what you lost with what you truly needed. So, when you start rebuilding, don't be afraid of the cracks. They're proof that you've survived. Don't hide your scars. They're the marks of transformation. Every lesson, every delay, every heartbreak becomes a brick in your new foundation. And as you rise again, you'll realize that failure wasn't your ending. It was your beginning. The fall was the path to your purpose. The breaking was the making. Because only when something has been truly broken can it be rebuilt by the hands of God. When you finally step back and look at the journey, the heartbreaks, the rejections, the failures, you begin to see what was once invisible. The blessing hidden inside it all. Every time something fell apart, something within you grew stronger. Every door that closed pushed you toward the one that was meant for you. You thought you were being punished, but you were being protected. You thought you were losing everything, but in truth, God was removing what could not stay for your destiny to unfold. The blessing inside failure is perspective. The awakening of the soul that no longer fears losing. Because when you've lost and survived, you realize that what truly matters can never be taken away. Your faith, your resilience, your connection with the divine. You stop chasing temporary victories and start cherishing eternal lessons. You begin to see that success without humility is empty, but failure with faith becomes sacred. And this is the ultimate paradox of God's mercy. He breaks you not to hurt you, but to rebuild you into something eternal. What you call failure is often just divine redirection. It's God's gentle whisper saying, "Not this, I have something greater." And the moment you trust that, peace replaces panic. You start to walk lighter, knowing that no detour is wasted, no delay meaningless. So when failure comes again, as it surely will, don't resist it. Embrace it. Look up and say, "Teach me, God. Shape me through this," because the real blessing is not in never falling. It's in rising every time, more grounded, more grateful, and more aligned with the one who never fails.